This is everything I know about YouTube. I don't know everything, but this is okay. So the first thing you have to do, all right, if you're going to start a channel, is pick a niche or a niche. And you know, I worked at CBS Sports, and at CBS, I covered the NBA, the NFL, MLB. I covered soccer. I covered the NHL, but I had to pick one, right? When you think about certain people on YouTube, you know, no one knows you. And so they have to go to you for something. You cannot be everything, you know, and forget just sports. If you think about anything else on YouTube, people have one specific topic that they cover. And the best analogy is Old Navy, The Gap, and Banana Republic. So not a lot of people know they're all owned by the same company, okay? But when you think, I want a shirt from Banana Republic, you don't go to Old Navy, right? So a shirt from Banana Republic is kind of nicer, whatever. It's more formal, and you wouldn't go to Old Navy for that. And the company that owns these 3 stores, they know that. Now, they could put all these clothes in one store, but then when you walked in the mall or went online, you would go, and you wouldn't think of it that one store. But when you think nice, cheap shirt, you think Banana Republic. And so you go there. So you have to, so what did the company do? They split these stores up into 3 different stores so that people would think, oh yeah, Banana Republic, I'm going to go there for that. And then they go there. So that's what you have to do with your YouTube channel. You have to pick a niche. You can't be everything to everybody. I picked the NBA because I love the NBA. So let's talk about equipment real quick. I think these are the basics: a camera, a microphone, editing software, a computer, and the internet. Okay, so to me, these are the things that you need to create content online. However, it's completely overrated, all of that stuff. People will go out like the kid who thinks he's going to be Michael Jordan because he buys those shoes. Do you think those shoes are what makes that man the GOAT at basketball? No, not at all. But that's what they're trying to sell you on. Nike wants you to think that if you buy those shoes, you'll be like Mike. We all know that's BS. So you do not need to buy the most expensive camera, microphone, computer, all that stuff, dude. In fact, we saw Cole Anthony dunking in Timberlands, did we not? Right? So the shoes and the equipment do not make the YouTuber. You do not have to buy expensive stuff. You do not. In fact, I would beg you guys to go as cheap as you possibly can for as long as you can. Best example, MKB, he does technology reviews. Right now, he's like a gajillion subscriber YouTuber. He's a big deal. On the left is how he started. He filmed himself on a cheap camera at home. Look at where he is now. I believe that camera there is it's called a Red camera. It costs like 20 grand. But he started, look at where he started with very cheap equipment. The secret is he is talented. His content was good. It didn't matter if he filmed it on a $20 camera or a $20,000 camera. He was going to be successful. So do not buy expensive stuff, okay? All right, now, if the thing that matters is good content, not the equipment, then how do you make good content? This is how I believe you make good content. These are the 3 things. And the number 1 thing at the top of the pyramid is the idea, okay? That's the most important thing for your content. I'm going to break these all down. The second most important thing is the title and thumbnail. And the third, actually most important thing, is the video execution. So the title and thumbnail are more important than the actual video. And I hate to say that, but that's the truth on YouTube. But even more important than the title and thumbnail is the idea for the video. You could spend all day coming up with a great title and thumbnail, and it will not save a bad idea. You have to start with a good idea, okay? So let's start with the idea. So to me, the best ideas are where your interest meets your audience's interest. Okay. And at that point, it's a banger, right? But no one cares except you. Maybe you really want to make that video, but nobody cares. Like, for example, This guy, Quentin Grimes, he's an NBA player on the Knicks. He's from Houston, where I'm from. His college coach is my neighbor. I would love to make a Quentin Grimes video, okay? Guess what? No one cares. And some people care, I get it, but no one really cares. So I'm probably not going to make that. Then this doesn't interest me over here, okay? And an example of that, if you guys watch my channel, I don't make a lot of LiAngelo Ball content. Other YouTubers do. I know the audience cares about LiAngelo Ball. I just don't. So I don't make that, because if I only made videos based on what other people cared about, I would burn out. I would hate my life. I wouldn't want to keep doing my channel. Okay, so I have to make something that interests both me and the audience. Okay, so you have to take into account what do other people care about as well. You can't just do whatever you want or do what other people want. So how do I find ideas? I research on serious publications and blogs. Serious publications are going to be like The Ringer, The Athletic, you know, the LA Times. Blogs are like Clutch Points, It's Game 7, TMZ. To me, it's all relevant. I could find a great story on TMZ that is not getting reported on The Athletic because they think they're too serious for some stuff. Like all of the Malika Andrews drama. I don't know if you guys followed that. If you're not even an NBA fan, there's a woman named Malika Andrews. She went all, you know, crazy on TV, scolding people for their political views. That's not something that serious publications will talk about, but the blogs would. I was interested in it. So I look at both things. All right, let's talk about the title and thumbnail. The number one rule for a title and thumbnail is it has to create curiosity. That's the number one thing, dude. I have to let more people into the waiting room. And the number two rule is I keep it under 50 characters because if it is over 50 characters, then the title will get cut off on your phone, on the computer. And so whatever you write beyond 50 characters won't get seen anyway. My shorter titles generally are my better performing, but it has to create curiosity. You have to put that little question mark above the viewer's head when they read the title. They have to go, huh? And then they have to scratch that itch. To get the answer to their question, they have to click on your video. So you have to create curiosity. The secondary emotion to curiosity, one is fear, the other one is desire. So for example, let's go over to examples. When a 17-year-old Luka Doncic had to guard MVP Westbrook, and why 50 Cent hates his son. So think about the curiosity, dude. Like the curiosity here is what the heck happened? What happened when 17-year-old Luka had to guard MVP Russ, right? Like you have to know. And then it says he got revenge. What does that mean? First of all, this idea is so good because this is Jimmy High Roller. The idea, like I told you, the idea is most important, right? He found an idea that included both Russ and Luka. Like we all know those are two popular players. Great. That is a fantastic idea. Then look at how he structured his title. When a 17-year-old Luka had to guard MVP Westbrook. There's so much curiosity there. The secondary emotion is desire. And the desire is, oh God, I have to know what happened. I have to know, you know? And why 50 Cent hates his son, you know, that's a lot of curiosity there as well. And it's a very similar thing. So, you know, Jimmy could have titled this something like, I'm trying to think of a really bad title for this. How about Luka Doncic played Westbrook as a 17-year-old or something like that? That to me doesn't, you know, that doesn't drive me to want to click it. And for 50 Cent, it would be something like 50 Cent hates his son because he stole money from him or something. Like if I told the entire story in the title, 50 Cent hates his son because he stole money, I would be like, oh, okay, I guess he hates his son because he stole money. And there's no question mark above your head for that because you already got the whole story. But if you said why 50 hates his son, and I would not care if my son died, you want to know why, and it compels you to click, right? So you have to create curiosity. Here's some bad examples. How a South African who came from poverty changed. So first of all, this guy went over 50 characters. So we don't even get to read the entire title, which is bad. Second of all, does this give you any fear, desire, curiosity? It's just two guys who are happy. His life-changing journey. It's like, why should I care? You know, it's like, maybe if instead of in this thumbnail, he put the guy looking homeless, and then on the other side of the thumbnail, he put him with like, you know, like a bag of money or something and like an arrow. And you'd be like, oh, I wonder how we got from that to that. But instead, it just looks like two guys who are happy. There's no tension there. There's no curiosity. You're just kind of, this is a very blah. And then this one says, let's discuss adapting Tolkien. Okay. You know, it's like, that's not compelling at all. I mean, that doesn't create curiosity to me at all. So there you go. All right. Another thing is clickbait. Some guy named Terrence Ross just joined. There's an NBA player named Terrence Ross. That would be awesome. Anyway, there's this guy named Veritasium, and he talks about what is clickbait. And the dirty little secret of YouTube is that clickbait works, and clickbait is real, and clickbait is something that everyone does, okay? Even your favorite YouTuber who you think is the most upstanding person, they use clickbait as well. But there are two types of clickbait. There's clickbait that reels you in with a promise, right? Like when a 17-year-old Luka had to guard MVP Russ, that is a promise. There's a promise there. And when you click on it, it kind of baits you in, right? That's clickbait, but that's okay. The bad kind of clickbait is when it doesn't keep its promise, okay? And so if you had clickbait that didn't keep its promise, then, you know, why 50 Cent hates his son, and you click on it and it doesn't ever answer that, like that's actual clickbait. That's the bad kind of clickbait. But it's okay to draw people in. And what he says is here, it's on an axis of withholding information and then also sensationalizing. And you want to be a little bit of both. You want to withhold information and sensationalize just a bit. So for example, why 50 Cent hates his son? He's definitely withholding information. We can see that, right? Why is he sensationalizing? Actually, 50 did not say, I would not care if my son died. He didn't actually say that. What he said was, I wouldn't care if my son got hit by a bus, which is the same thing, right? But this guy, his name is Patrick CC. He's great. He took a little bit of liberty to sensationalize a little bit. Now, is he going out of, you know what I mean? Like other kind of clickbait is if he put like, I want to kill my son or something, like that would be the bad kind of clickbait. That's not right. But what he did was he sensationalized just a little bit. And also he withheld information, why 50 Cent hates his son, and it created a great title and thumbnail for him, okay? Now you could call that clickbait, or you could just call that writing a great title and thumbnail, okay? Because if you don't put work into this, no one's gonna see your awesome video. So it's one of the things I spend the most time on is coming up with a great title, because it's not easy to figure out just how much information to withhold. If you're going to sensationalize just a little bit, what's going to create curiosity, fear, desire, all of that. It's really an art. You know, creating the video is one thing, creating the title and the thumbnail is an art unto itself. And I spend a lot of time on that. So guys, there are two tools, okay? This is probably the most important thing. Jake Thomas from Creator Hooks, dude, is the title master. I lean on him so much. Go check out his website, his Twitter, whatever it is. I learned so much from him about how to create a great title. If I wasn't introduced to Jake Thomas's content, I would not have had the growth I've had in the last year. Jake Thomas has been that important to my growth, and it all has to do with titles. And then this guy named Jay Alto, that's his Twitter. He gives out great information on thumbnails. So, you know, I would check them both out, man. They're amazing. Okay, now let's talk about video execution. I said idea is most important. Title and thumbnail is next most important. And the third most important is executing the actual video. Number one, do not waste time. Do not introduce yourself in a video. Don't say, hey, what's up? Thanks for coming to my channel. My name is Casey. Please subscribe and like, dude, by the time you've said all that, everyone's clicked off. Unless it's your mom and your mom wants to watch your video. Otherwise, no one cares. Start with a great hook. Then you have to retain the viewer. And then you have to pay off your promise at the end. Okay, that's kind of the formula for a video. So let's talk about how to do a hook. It has to start with a hook, right? So you have created curiosity with your title and thumbnail, and then you build even more curiosity with your hook. Your hook's like, 30 to 45 seconds long, or however long. It could be 10 seconds long. I don't care. So this is Jimmy High Roller. He has created curiosity by saying, I know who's going to win the 2022 championship. Now I want to know, so I'm going to click, right? So what does Jimmy do right after he earns my click? He keeps me on the video. How does he do that? He does that with the hook. So check it out.
What if I told you that I knew which team would win the NBA championship this season? That I somehow could see and predict the future like some sort of basketball prophet? Well, then I'd be a filthy liar, because I don't know who's going to win the NBA title this season. But what if we could use numbers and data collected over decades of NBA games to make an accurate prediction as to which team will be crowned the 2022 NBA champions? Be pretty cool, right? Well, let's give it a shot.
All right. So that was it, right? So by the way, like, we all love Jimmy High Roller, especially if you guys are NBA YouTubers or you want to be an NBA YouTuber. Like, we all love Jimmy, right? Like, he's probably the most talented, definitely the most successful NBA YouTuber. Tell me that wasn't clickbait. He said, I know who's going to win the 2022 champ. And by the way, I love him, right? But he said, I know who. And then immediately he's like, well, I don't actually know, right? But he got you to click. So that's my point, dude, is that a little bit of quote unquote clickbait is totally fine. Just don't be a jerk about it, and don't take advantage of your audience's kindness. They're kind enough to click. Don't not pay off your promise. Now, eventually in that video, he pays off his promise, okay? But let's talk about the hook. What did he do? He said, what if I could do this? And then he said, well, I can't. And that kind of like got you curious. You're like, what? So he kind of kept building curiosity. And then he makes a promise at the end of the hook by saying, we are going to look deep at the numbers at the most accurate way to predict it, and we will predict who will win. So that hooked you in for the rest of the video, right? So he got you to click. Then the hook is so important. He built more curiosity. The second thing you need to do is retain the viewer, okay? So let's see how Jimmy retains the viewer with, can you buy an NBA championship? By the way, look at this thumbnail. This is beautiful. I could go on all day about Jimmy's thumbnails. I mean, he's got the guts. Like, here I am using arrows and text and all this crap. Look at how simple this is, but it creates so much emotion and so much desire, so much curiosity, right? Like, this is brilliant. Okay, now, this is how Jimmy retains the viewer within the video.
In Michael Jordan's last season with the Bulls, MJ was paid quite possibly the most amount of money relative to his peers in the history of sports. In the 1997-1998 NBA season, Michael Jordan made $33.14 million from his NBA salary. By himself, MJ made more money than the combined team salaries of 19 other NBA teams that season. His contract was so massive that the league implemented a maximum salary rule the following season, which prevented teams from paying the equivalent of an entire roster's payroll to one single player. Even by today's standards, this is a giant one-year salary. But if we adjust for inflation and total revenue driven by the league, Jordan's 1998 salary would be the equivalent of an NBA player making approximately $120 million this season.
Okay, so do you know how he retained us with that? He retained the viewer by telling us a little story within the story. Like, that was so cool. Like, his premise of the video is, can you buy an NBA championship? And he's going to answer the question. But within that video, he told us a little story. He kept us retained. Like, you know, he set another hook by saying, the beginning of that was here. Let me.
Michael Jordan's last season with the Bulls, MJ was paid quite possibly the most amount of money relative to his peers in the history of sports.
Okay, so that was another hook, right? By the way, that wasn't the beginning of the video. That was like in the middle of the video. So what did he do? He said in 1998, Michael Jordan was paid quite possibly the most in the history of sports. I don't know if y'all can hear my baby crying. My wife is supposed to be with him. Anyway, so my point is, dude, he kept us hooked by telling yet another story within the story. And he even started that little story with a mini hook, right? Like, when he told us that, you were like, oh, I'm intrigued. I'm curious. How is it that he was paid more than anyone in the history of sports? And then he paid it off. And then, by the way, after that MJ story, he's going to tell another story about a guy getting paid a lot. And we're going to be hooked to see the end of that little story as well. And by the time the whole video's done, he's told one giant story. Anyway, dude, he's really great at retaining the viewer. But at the end of the video, you have to pay off what you promised, okay? So your title and thumbnail promise something. You have to pay it off. Otherwise, it's that crappy clickbait, and people are not going to come back for more. This video is called How Dangerous is a Penny Dropped from a Skyscraper, and it's 22 minutes long, okay? 22 minutes. And at the end of the 22 minutes, this is what you get.
So, yeah, a penny falling from the Empire State Building won't kill you. A pen likely won't either. Anything that weighs a few grams and isn't aerodynamic isn't going to be fatal. But objects that weigh more than a few hundred grams traveling at terminal velocity are likely to be deadly.
That's it. You know what's so great about that is, like, he literally could have just come out and said that. Like, the title is a guy with a penny. The thumbnail is a guy with the title is, can you die if a penny hits you off a skyscraper? And then at the end of the video, he's like, no, not really. But he spent 20 minutes unpacking that, and it's a really entertaining 20 minutes. The people aren't clicking on your video just to get the answer. They want to be entertained, and they want to be educated and informed, right? And so you have to pay it off at the end, but you have to just entertain them along the way. And then at the end, you can really pay it off, but you have to pay it off. All of the Jimmy High Roller videos do it. The worst YouTubers that you guys watch that you hate, those people will drag you along for 10 minutes. They won't really give you an answer at the end of the video. And you feel like your time has been wasted, and you feel gypped, and you feel ripped off, and you feel like never clicking on their videos again. Don't be that person. Promise something with a great title and thumbnail. Entertain them throughout. Hook them at the beginning. Retain them with continuous hooks and little promises. Tell a story, and then at the end, pay it off so that they feel like, man, that was a great 10 minutes. That's exactly what you want. Here's some helpful tools. There's a guy named Daryl Eves. He has a book called YT Formula. It's a book. I recommend getting that book. It's like 20, 25 bucks. That's the best book I've ever read on how to succeed at YouTube. And then Jake Thomas, I already talked about him. Here's some general tips. Keywords don't matter. I don't know what's going on with this baby. All right, that's a text. Please get Ellison. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. So anyway, keywords don't matter. I know a lot of people think that they do. They used to in like 2012, but YouTube has become more sophisticated. So YouTube will pay attention to, does your video get the click? And then do people stay and watch your video? And if they do, they will push that video and suggest it to more people, even if you're a small channel. Think of the title before anything. A few months ago, Damian Lillard tweeted out a picture of him and Kevin Durant in Blazers uniforms. And my title could have been Kevin Durant, you know, something like rumor, Kevin Durant to Blazers, ? And that would have been okay. But the title I thought of before anything was Steph Curry's biggest nightmare is coming true. Why? Because, you know, if KD went to Portland and then him and Dame matching up would definitely challenge Golden State in the West, right? And so I thought of something that was much more attractive. The curiosity of Steph Curry's biggest nightmare is coming true. That's like, whoa, what? You know, and then there's a lot of fear there if you're a Golden State fan. There's a lot of desire there if you're any other fan who wants to know why is Steph Curry's worst nightmare. You know, so once I thought of that title, I knew how to write the video in a great way, you know. Don't introduce yourself. We talked about that. Storytelling is joke telling. So, you know, you'll hear a lot. It's a buzzword in content creation. Everyone's like, oh, storytelling. Look, all storytelling is telling a joke. That's it. So if I told you a joke, it would be something like this. Forgive me if this isn't funny, okay? There are two money counterfeiters, okay? They accidentally make a batch of $15 bills. One of them says to the other one, well, how are we going to get rid of these $15 bills? The other guy goes, no problem. I know just where to go. There's this dumb town in Florida. They won't know the difference. So they drive to Florida. Right when they cross city lines, the first gas station they see, they pull over. They walk in and the guy says to the cashier, hey, could you break a $15 bill? And the cashier says, yeah, no problem. And so the guy, one of the counterfeiters, like fist bumps the other one. He's like, ha, told you, idiots. And the guy comes back and he says, do you want 5 3s or a 7 and an 8? Okay, now I can't tell if you guys laughed at that, but that's not the point. The point is that there was a story, right? And the joke is this, a setup, a hook.
No, lascia, se non si spara, ma lascia se stiamo
Oh, no, we
vazio.
have people talking. I can't find where this person is. Mute. Perfect. Okay, y'all, whether you thought the joke was funny or not, the point is I set it up by saying, I'm going to tell you a joke. That was the promise, right? That was my title and thumbnail. And then I started the story, and at the end, it had a punchline, right? Just like your videos, just like the penny falling video. Think about the penny falling video. He set it up, and then he told you, and at the end, the punchline was, no, a penny can't really kill you, right? And so that's all storytelling is. You're going to hear so much. Think of storytelling as joke telling. If you've got a good punchline at the end, then people will come back for more, okay? I'm not saying it needs to be funny. You get my point. This is how to contact me. You can email me or you can DM me on Twitter.